What's going on, everybody? And I hope you're enjoying your Hump Day Wednesday morning so far. NYG Jeffy T85 here, and I'm going to talk about yesterday's New York Mets game against the Chicago Cubs and how the Mets are measuring up after they traveled down to the Windy City to take on the Chicago Cubs. It wasn't the best overall day for the New York Mets in terms of their hitting and even their pitching once again. The pitching once again wasn't up to snuff. Tylor Megill, who has been an up and down pitcher for pretty much since in the beginning of the season, he ended up having a rough start yesterday, and he ended up giving up 6 runs, 4 of them being earned, on 6 hits in 3 2/3 innings. He ended up striking out 5, walked 2, and he gave up 2 home runs in the game to the Chicago Cubs. 1 to Suzuki in the bottom of the second inning, and then he gave up 1 to Mervis in the bottom of the second inning. So 2 home runs in the bottom of the second inning. And the New York Mets, unfortunately, their 5-game winning streak came to an end yesterday in Wrigley Field by the final score of 7-2. And the only offense to really come out of this game for the New York Mets was Pete Alonso, who crushed a 434-foot home run to center field. And ironically, Pete Alonso becomes the first New York Met ever to hit 18 home runs in the first 50 games of a Major League Baseball season. No Met has done that before. Pete Alonso is the first one to do it. So, congratulations to Pete Alonso for that, and he also had a fielder's choice and a ground out to third base, which scored Brandon Nimmo from third base. But otherwise the Mets bats, unfortunately, they went quiet in this game yesterday against Drew Smyly, who actually had a decent game yesterday. Like I mentioned before, the runs he gave up to Pete Alonso. He pitched 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, obviously the 2 of them being to Pete, struck out 5, and then obviously surrendered the home run to Pete Alonso in the top of the 4th. But otherwise Mets offense went very quiet. Brandon Nimmo actually ended up having 3 of the 6 hits. Nimmo was struggling a little bit with the bat. He started slumping a little bit, but he had 3 hits yesterday, including a double in the game, which was his 10th so far of the season. But otherwise Nimmo and Alonso, only sources of offense in this game. And the Mets just couldn't muster up enough to try to come back in this one. The Mets have been known as the comeback kids earlier on in this season, where they were able to come back from these deficits in these early games. But unfortunately, this was just a little bit too much for them, and the Mets just couldn't get it done. And they dropped the first game of this series by the final score of 7-2. Not the best outing at all by Tylor Megill. I mean, this is what Megill is going to give you, to be honest. Megill is going to give you some decent starts here and there, but to really expect a whole lot from somebody like Tylor Megill, you're really banking on the wrong pitcher, because Megill, he's a decent pitcher, but let's just be real. He's not going to go out there and be a consistent guy in the back end of that starting rotation for you night in and night out. He's going to be a guy that's going to give you these up and down, inconsistent pitch games from time and time. So, either way, this was a tough one for the New York Mets. But, you know what? They're coming off a 5-game winning streak. So, am I going to get crazy about this? No. And also, a little bit of an unfortunate thing is that Eduardo Escobar ended up injuring his right knee while trying to make a play on a ground ball by Swanson in the game. So, right now, Eduardo Escobar, he looks like he could have some injury issues going forward. Tim LaCastro, this is according to Buck Showalter, is going to be looking like he's going to be going for surgery on his injured right thumb. So it looks like that LaCastro is going to be out for some time. And Showalter said that he watched a video of right-handed pitcher Jose Quintana's throwing, and he looks good. Then I'll go a little bit down to see how his schedule with him. So he's going to try to see if he can schedule, a session with Jose Quintana, who obviously is coming back from the rib fracture that he suffered during the middle of the season. And then also, Tomas Nido went 1 for 4 in a rehab assignment. He's dealing with the dry eye syndrome that he's been dealing with for the past couple of weeks. So he went 1 for 4 in a rehab game in Class A St. Lucie. And obviously, there's the rumor going around that Francisco Alvarez can end up getting sent back down because the New York Mets might want to try to develop him a little bit more and see if they can get his batting a little bit more consistent going on in the minor leagues. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with that. And then going on today, the Mets are going to be pitching Kodai Senga on the mound. Senga's been the tale of two tapes. He's been rough on the road. He's pitching to over a 6 ERA on the road, but he's pitching to at least a 1.3 ERA at home. So we'll have to see if Senga can change that trend going on the road today. And they're going to be going up against old buddy Marcus Stroman, whom New York Mets and New York Mets fans know all about. Stroman pitched for the New York Mets for a couple of seasons from 2020 and 2021. So the Mets are going to be getting a first-hand look at Marcus Stroman today for the New York Mets going into this upcoming season. So it's curious to see how Stroman is going to pitch against the Mets and how Senga is going to be able to rebound from what was a rough start the last time he was out there on the mound. But either way, Mets lose this game, unfortunately, 7-2. Not the end of the world. Mets are 25-24 on the season, and they're going to look to see if they can get back on that winning track today as Kodai Senga goes on the mound in the second of this 3-game series at Citi Field. So if you guys like this video, please hit that like button if you haven't already. Give a sub to NYGJeffyT85. More news updates and chatter surrounding the New York Mets and game recaps. Turn on the bell for notifications of the next video or short dropping on the channel surrounding the New York Mets. And, of course, let me know in the comment section what you thought about this game recap for the New York Mets and the game yesterday and your state of the Mets as the Mets look to see if they can right the ship tonight going into this second of this 3-game series against the Chicago Cubs. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Hump Day Wednesday. Take it easy and let's go New York Mets. As always, all you got to do is you got to believe in those boys from Queens.